The first rays of dawn filter through rain-streaked glass, casting pale light across a silent boardroom. Inside, a billionaire sits, wrists locked in cold steel handcuffs, the tailored cuffs of his navy suit bunched awkwardly at his wrists. His hair, usually immaculate, is now damp and unruly. In the far corner, a child stands, no older than 10, clutching a faded backpack to their chest. Neither speaks. Security guards, expressionless and rigid, flank the doorway, while the skyline outside glows, city lights dim against the pale storm. Cameras flash from beyond the glass walls as the billionaire's eyes meet the child's, his gaze raw with anguish, hers wide and uncertain. On the conference table, a magazine with his face on the cover sits discarded, the bold headline, "Untouchable," mocking the present moment. The air is thick with paradox, power brought low, innocence drawn into a world of consequence. In the background, a woman's voice echoes from an unseen speaker, calm and measured. He built an empire, but he couldn't save her. The world, outside, rages on. But here, in this room suspended between triumph and disaster, time seems to fracture. Shame, fear, and heartbreak hang heavy. Nothing will ever be the same again. Outside the glass tower, storm clouds coil in the pale morning sky, lightning flashing over the horizon as news vans swarm the curb. Inside, reporters press against the rain-slicked glass, cameras raised, their faces hungry for a shot of tragedy or triumph. The billionaire's image flickers on screens everywhere, calm, composed, a leader for the age, while within these walls he shatters, hollow-eyed and shivering, every inch of his power drained. The child, face drawn, steps closer, uncertain whether to speak or flee. Her reflection merges with his on the rain-streaked window, binding their fates in the storm. They said he could do anything. A woman's voice murmurs from the shadows, but he could not protect her. In this room there is no applause, no celebration, only the echo of what's been lost. Even the guards seem to fade into the background, like ghosts of a former life. The city below is restless, horns blaring, sirens wailing, the world at a standstill to witness the fall. The billionaire's hand trembles as he reaches for the magazine, pausing before his own cold reflection. Power, fame, and legacy mean nothing now. Not in this moment, not under the weight of her eyes. Inside the silent boardroom, the billionaire's breathing is shallow. He forces composure, shoulders squared, yet every glance betrays a secret devastation. He scans the child, searching for signs, fear, anger, accusation, but her face is a blank page. "What happens now?" the child whispers, voice trembling yet brave. The billionaire's lips part, but no words come. Instead, his gaze drops to the handcuffs, then to the world outside, the empire he built now out of reach, the cost of every decision etched in every wrinkle. Lightning crackles beyond the glass, illuminating his haunted eyes. The silence is broken only by the distant wail of a siren and a constant drip of rain on metal. The child takes a step closer, her presence both accusation and absolution, innocence forever marked by his downfall. "Will I see you again?" she asks. He cannot answer. He only stares, eyes shining, burdened by the knowledge that even empires can crumble in a heartbeat. A sudden burst of static from the intercom startles everyone. The guards tense, stepping forward, but the billionaire does not flinch. His eyes remain locked on the child. The voice returns, cold and clinical. "The world is watching. Choices matter." The child's jaw sets, shoulders squaring in silent defiance. She is small, but in this room, her presence dwarfs the titans of industry who once commanded it. The billionaire straightens, drawing the last shreds of dignity around him. Across the glass, the city pulses with anticipation. The world holds its breath, waiting to see who will break the silence. Sometimes, the billionaire says at last, voice ragged, "The world gives you everything," then asks what you're willing to lose. The child's eyes brim with tears, but she doesn't look away. In that moment, it is not his power that matters, but her resolve. The child finally breaks the silence with a whisper. "Why did you do it?" Her question slices through the room like lightning, The billionaire's voice falters. I wanted to build something that would last forever. His words hang in the air, heavy with regret. But I forgot that some things, some people, are more important than all the empires in the world. The child steps closer, her hand brushing the cold metal of his cuffs. He looks at her, truly seeing her for the first time, and the weight of his choices crashes down upon him. The world outside keeps moving, indifferent to the pain within these walls. But for the billionaire and the girl, this is the moment that will define everything that comes after. Nothing else matters. Not the cameras. Not the city. Only this truth, that every empire falls, and all that remains is what you chose to protect. The story shifts focus, revealing the true heart of this tale. A young woman named Emma, no longer a child but still bearing the scars of a fractured past. She stands outside a modest apartment building in early morning light, the city humming quietly around her. Emma's eyes are fixed on the worn brass door, her hands clenched in the pockets of her faded leather jacket. Memories flood back. A father who once commanded empires but fell to ruin, leaving behind shattered dreams and unspoken regrets. She recalls sitting alone in a cold kitchen as a child, watching her mother plead for work at a convenience store, the shame etched into every tremor of her voice. Emma promised herself then she would never be powerless. Her reflection shimmers in a rain-speckled window, determined, guarded, unyielding. The weight she carries is immense, but so is the fire burning within her. In the silence of dawn, the city seems to hold its breath, waiting for Emma's next move. She exhales sharply, stepping forward, ready to face a world that has already written her off. This is no longer about legacy. It is about survival and the fierce promise to rewrite her story on her own terms. Inside a dimly lit conference room, Emma is turned away from a polished boardroom table, her back to a sea of indifferent faces. The women and men seated there represent a world that has never truly accepted her. White collars and power suits, eyes cold with judgment. Emma's voice is steady but firm as she pitches an idea born from years of struggle and vision. Yet beneath the polished words lies a raw wound. Every no she's faced, every door slammed shut by those who saw only her lineage, not her potential. Her mind races through sleepless nights spent balancing hope and fear, the relentless pressure to prove herself. She recalls lost birthdays, friendships sacrificed to ambition, and moments where victory tasted hollow. The room is silent but heavy. A subtle tension crackles in the air. Emma's resolve doesn't waver. This is her moment to step from the shadow of the past and claim the future she's fought for. She knows the climb will be steep, but the cost of retreat is far greater. In a quiet cafe late at night, Emma sits alone by a window, her face illuminated by the soft glow of a single lamp. Her eyes are tired, shadows beneath them telling stories of sacrifice and solitude. She stirs her coffee absent-mindedly, recalling the friends and lovers she left behind on this journey. The conversations cut short, the missed celebrations. The weight of success feels bittersweet, victories that never quite taste like triumph. Yet beneath it all, a fierce determination pulses. She whispers to herself, "I will not fail." The world outside continues unaware of the battles waged in this small corner. The city lights blur as rain begins to fall, mirroring the tears Emma refuses to shed. Alone but unbroken, she sketches ideas on a napkin, dreams still alive despite the cost. The camera lingers on her quiet resilience, the complexity of power and pain entwined in her gaze. Emma's journey escalates. In the early hours of a cramped office, she pores over documents and spreadsheets, exhaustion etched in every line of her face. The harsh glow of a single desk lamp highlights the clutter of papers, a map of her ambitions and battles. Sleepless nights blur into one another, birthdays forgotten, friendships fading into the background of late-night calls and endless pitches. She talks to herself in whispers, rallying strength from within. Each small win feels like a step forward, but the price grows steeper. Emails ping insistently, deadlines loom like shadows. The weight of legacy and expectation presses down, but Emma refuses to falter. She traces her finger over a photograph of her younger self and the father who fell, a reminder of what she fights for. The city outside awakens, indifferent to the sacrifices made in this quiet war. The struggle continues, relentless and raw, but Emma's fire burns brighter than ever. In a small neighborhood convenience store, a boy no older than 8 waits quietly among aisles of canned goods and bright packaging. His mother, worn and desperate, pleads with the store manager for a job, her voice low but urgent. The boy's wide eyes flicker between shelves and his mother's tense figure, absorbing the fear and hope that mingles in the air. This moment, small and fragile, carries the weight of dreams deferred and lives disrupted. The mother's hands tremble as she presents her resume, while the manager's expression hardens, signaling the walls of opportunity closing once again. The boy clutches a small toy car, a fragile talisman in a world that feels uncertain. Outside, the city continues to pulse with life and indifference, a stark contrast to this quiet struggle. Here, in this humble store, the fight for survival is as fierce as any boardroom battle. The boy's eyes reflect a promise, and never to be forgotten, never to give up. Emma's journey ignites with the birth of a bold idea, an innovative startup aimed at disrupting the very industry that once rejected her. Sleepless nights become routine, each hour a currency spent chasing visions that blur between hope and exhaustion. Her small apartment transforms into a war room, walls lined with charts, coffee cups piled high, and laptops open with half-finished presentations. Emma's phone buzzes relentlessly, calls from potential investors, partners, and skeptics alike. Lost birthdays weigh on her mind, friends' invitations ignored, lovers' voices fading into silence. Every setback carves deeper lines into her face, but the fire inside burns brighter. This is only the beginning, she whispers to herself, pacing the floor with restless energy. The cost of ambition mounts, but so does her determination. Behind closed doors, Emma sacrifices pieces of herself for a dream others told her she could never claim. Outside, the city skyline gleams under a late-night sky, a silent witness to a battle waged in shadows. Emma's early pitch meetings are a crucible of tension and uncertainty. In a sleek, glass-walled conference room, she faces an austere panel of investors whose eyes scan her every move, waiting for cracks. Her voice is steady, but layered with the strain of countless rehearsals. She lays out projections, potential, and passion, but beneath the polish lies raw vulnerability, a hunger forged by years of being overlooked. The panel's silence stretches, a weight heavier than any critique. Emma's gaze never wavers. She refuses to be broken. Behind the polished surface, the emotional toll of late nights and lost connections simmers. Wins feel fleeting, victories tempered by the constant pressure to prove she belongs. In this arena, every word counts, and Emma knows the price of failure is not just business, tis personal. Still, she presses on, each meeting a step on a precarious climb toward a future only she can see. The sacrifices begin to pile up. Emma watches yet another birthday candle flicker out on a distant friend's social media post she missed. Texts from loved ones go unanswered, swallowed by an unrelenting schedule. She walks through empty hotel corridors at midnight, the muffled hum of the city beneath her feet, a reminder of a world moving on without her. The victories come, contracts signed, milestones reached, but the joy feels muted, shadowed by absence and exhaustion. Sleepless nights stretch into mornings, filled with back-to-back calls and strategy sessions. Emma's reflection in bathroom mirrors seems more stranger than Ali, eyes ringed with fatigue, jaw clenched in determination. Her ambition commands her forward, but at a cost measured not in dollars, but in fragments of a life left behind. Yet with every step, the fire within refuses to dim. It fuels her forward, relentless and raw. In the glow of dawn, Emma faces a boardroom that once shut her out. Now she stands not as a supplicant, but a contender. Her voice sharp, her vision clear. The room buzzes with the low murmur of executives debating a hostile takeover she proposed. Faces around the table twist with skepticism, envy, and reluctant respect. Emma's every word carries the weight of sleepless nights and relentless struggle. She knows this is more than a business move. It's a reclaiming of identity and power. Behind the scenes, alliances shift like sand, friends and foes blurred by ambition's haze. Emma locks eyes with the CEO across the table, a man who once dismissed her. Their silent exchange crackles with unspoken history and rivalry. This moment is a crucible, a test not just of strategy but of will. The stakes could not be higher. Failure would mean everything lost, success a hard-won redemption. The climb exacts its toll. Emma sits alone in a quiet apartment late at night, phone in hand, a fractured smile breaking through exhaustion as a message of tentative success arrives. But beneath the moment's relief lies a bittersweet truth. Friends who once cheered her now drift away, lovers replaced by silence. The cost of power is measured not just in business deals, but in lonely hours and lost connections. She gazes out the window at the sprawling city, lights flickering like distant promises. The path she's chosen is steep, paved with sacrifice. Yet in that solitude, Emma feels an ember of hope, a quiet certainty that the future she's forging will be worth the price. Every sleepless night, every difficult choice has led her here. The empire she dreams of is still fragile, but it grows stronger with every step. And Emma, scarred but unbroken, is ready to claim it. The foundation Emma built trembles unexpectedly. A confidential email lands in her inbox, a revelation that shakes everything she thought she knew. Her co-founder, once a trusted partner, is revealed to be her estranged brother. Memories flood back to fragmented childhood scenes, a family fractured by silence and ambition. This revelation twists her journey, reshaping the story she has fought to tell. The office is dimly lit, tension thick as Emma rereads the message. Betrayal and disbelief war in her eyes. The world she believed was hers now feels like a fragile illusion, crafted by shared blood and hidden motives. In the silence she whispers, "How could I have missed this?" Outside, the city buzzes with ignorance, unaware of the personal earthquake beneath glass and steel. The cost of power reveals itself not just in deals and dollars, but in fractured trust and broken bonds. Emma's empire suddenly seems far less certain. Emma confronts her co-founder in a stark glass meeting room, the afternoon sun casting long shadows on polished floors. The brother, mid-30s, rugged yet composed, admits the secret with quiet remorse. The business, once a shared dream, was layered with deception, his motives tangled in family history and personal ambition. Emma listens, heart pounding, torn between anger and a flicker of understanding. The room feels colder, the walls closing in. Her dreams of trust and partnership fracture under the weight of betrayal. Every word exchanged is a fracture in the bond they once shared. The revelation alters everything: the business, their relationship, and Emma's path forward. As the brothers' gaze falls, the unspoken question lingers: can blood heal wounds this deep, or will it only deepen the divide? Emma's silence speaks volumes, her resolve hardening as the stakes escalate beyond the boardroom. The facade cracks further when Emma discovers financial irregularities buried deep in company accounts, signs of embezzlement by their trusted mentor. The shock is profound. Someone who once guided her now betrays her with calculated coldness. Late night in her apartment, Emma pores over spreadsheets, the numbers screaming betrayal in stark black and white. Each figure tells a story of trust broken and loyalty bought. She feels the weight of isolation settle like a stone in her chest. The mentor's face haunts her thoughts, a reminder that power breeds both loyalty and treachery. Emma's fingers tremble as she drafts a plan to confront the truth and protect what remains. The city sleeps outside, oblivious to the storm raging within one woman's soul. The stakes have shifted again. The empire's walls are crumbling, and Emma must decide how to rebuild or walk away before the collapse consumes her entirely. Emma's health begins to fail silently as the pressure mounts, a secret she guards fiercely. She hides the pounding headaches and relentless fatigue from her team, fearing weakness would unravel everything she's fought for. One morning, struggling to steady her breath, Emma catches her reflection, pale, eyes shadowed, a fragile mask barely containing the storm within. Doctor's words echo in her mind, a serious condition, time running short. The knowledge isolates her further, a weight she carries alone. The Empire's facade demands strength, but beneath the surface her body rebels. Her resolve clashes with vulnerability, and she wonders if she can truly keep the secret without losing herself. The city's pulse beats on, indifferent to the fragile leader hiding behind the confident exterior. Emma's fight is no longer just for power. It is a battle for survival. As the Empire begins to falter, Emma gathers her closest allies in a private room, the air thick with unspoken fears and fragile hope. She reveals the truths uncovered, the betrayals, and her failing health. Faces fall, alliances strain, but also rally. The room hums with raw emotion, shock, anger, loyalty tested. Emma's voice is steady despite the tremor beneath. This is the crucible moment. The Empire's foundation is shaken, but the fight for its future ignites here. Emma knows the path ahead is perilous, the risk of collapse real. Yet in this fragile moment, amid fractured trust and whispered fears, a spark of unity emerges. This is no longer just a business. It is a family bound by survival and resilience. The floor beneath them feels unsteady, but together they resolve to stand, even as the storm closes in. The boardroom is thick with tension, the atmosphere heavy with the weight of impending decisions. Emma stands at the head of the table, her posture unwavering despite the storm brewing within. Around her, the board members exchange glances, some skeptical, others resigned. The air hums with the buzz of whispered alliances and hidden agendas. Emma's voice cuts through the silence, steady and resolute. This vote will decide the fate of everything we've built. Her eyes scan the room, challenging each member to confront the magnitude of the moment. Behind the polished speeches lies the raw truth. This is a reckoning. The legacy of her father, the trust of her team, the future of the Empire, all hang in the balance. Every breath, every glance, every heartbeat marks the turning point. Emma knows that what happens here will ripple beyond these walls, changing lives irrevocably. The silence stretches, the room holding its breath. The moment of truth has arrived. The vote begins, each board member's decision a silent echo of trust or doubt. Emma watches as hands rise and fall, some firm, some hesitant. The numbers are tight, the outcome uncertain. In this crucible, alliances fracture and new ones form. Whispers ripple beneath formal declarations, tension rising with each counted vote. Emma's throat tightens, the pressure mounting like a storm ready to break. The room's air grows colder, the walls closing in as the final votes are cast. She recalls the sacrifices behind this moment, the nights alone, the battles fought, the family ties severed. This is more than business. It's survival, identity, redemption. When the last vote is counted, the silence is deafening. Emma's fate, and that of her empire, now rests in the balance of a fragile majority. The weight of the decision settles on every shoulder in the room. The result is announced, narrowly in Emma's favor. Relief floods her briefly before the magnitude hits. The boardroom erupts in murmurs, some congratulate, others glare. The Empire will survive, but the scars run deep. Emma stands tall, but feels the invisible weight of broken trust and compromised alliances. She knows the road ahead will be fraught with new battles and sacrifices. I need today. A quiet apology escapes her lips, directed inward and outward, a recognition of losses too heavy to voice. The moment is bittersweet, victory shadowed by the cost. Emma's gaze falls on the empty chair where her father once sat, a silent reminder of legacy and loss. The fight is not over, it has only changed shape. The Empire lives, but at a price that will echo in every decision to come. In a quiet moment away from the public eye, Emma seeks out her daughter, a fragile bridge between past and future. Their eyes meet, a silent exchange heavy with unspoken words. Emma's voice trembles with vulnerability. I never wanted this to be your burden. The daughter's gaze softens, a small nod acknowledging shared pain and love. They embrace silently, a brief sanctuary from the world's demands. This moment of tenderness is a fragile anchor amid chaos. A reminder that beneath the empire lies family, flawed but unbroken. Emma knows the road ahead is uncertain, but in this embrace, she finds a flicker of hope. No empire, no legacy, is worth more than the fragile bonds of love that endure beyond power and loss. The final speech echoes through the grand hall, Emma standing before a crowd that holds the future in its breath. Her voice rings with clarity and conviction as she speaks of sacrifice, resilience, and the cost of ambition. We build not just for ourselves, but for those who come after. Her words strike chords of hope and warning, a call to action woven with humility. The room listens, moved by her honesty and strength. Behind the applause lies the knowledge that the empire will never be the same. It has been reshaped by pain and courage. Emma's gaze sweeps across the faces before her, friends, foes, and family alike, each bearing witness to a legacy forged in fire. As the speech closes, she steps down with the weight of the moment settled but unbroken, ready to face whatever comes next with fierce determination. The dust begins to settle, but the cost of victory is etched deep within Emma's soul. She stands alone on a rooftop terrace, dawn breaking softly over the city skyline. Her gaze drifts across the horizon, bright yet uncertain. The empire she saved was not built on flawless triumph, but on sacrifice and scars. Emma reflects on what she has lost. Friends who slipped away, family bonds frayed beyond repair. Moments missed that time will never return. Yet within this painful clarity, she recognizes what she has truly gained: resilience, wisdom, and a fierce understanding of what matters most. The city breathes around her, silent witness to a woman transformed. Emma exhales slowly, the weight of power now tempered by humility. She is no longer the woman who chased an empire for legacy's sake. She is one who has found strength in vulnerability. The future remains unwritten, but for the first time, she faces it unafraid. Emma steps away from the corporate battlefield to find herself again in the quiet of a sunlit park. Her steps slow, grounded by the gentle rhythm of nature. Here, away from boardrooms and headlines, she reconnects with the fire that sparked her journey, unburdened by expectation or legacy. Childhood memories of simpler days come alive in the rustle of leaves and the laughter of children playing nearby. Emma's eyes soften as she watches a young girl chase a butterfly, a silent promise to nurture the light within herself and others. The road ahead is no less challenging, but the weight has shifted. Power now feels less like a prize and more like a responsibility, to herself, to those she loves, to a future she will choose deliberately. In this pause, Emma rediscovers her heart, steady and open to new beginnings. In a quiet office lined with books and photographs, Emma meets with her daughter. A moment of connection and fragile hope. The daughter, now more mature, listens intently as Emma shares stories untold before, speaking of love, sacrifice, and the mistakes that shaped their lives. Their conversation is tentative but healing, a bridge over years of silence. Emma's voice carries the weight of regret, but also the strength of renewal. This exchange is not just a passing of legacy, but a passing of understanding, an invitation to heal wounds and build anew. The daughter's eyes reflect a mixture of sadness and forgiveness, hope flickering in the depths. Outside, sunlight filters softly through the window, casting warm light on two figures bound by blood and resilience. Here, power feels intimate, woven through the quiet bonds that endure beyond empires. Emma returns to the company, not as a CEO, but as a mentor and guardian of its new chapter. In a modern, sunlit conference room, she offers guidance to a diverse new leadership team, brimming with fresh energy and ideas. Her voice is calm and steady, full of lessons learned through pain and triumph. The room listens, absorbing the wisdom of sacrifice and resilience. Emma's presence is a reminder that legacy is not just what you build but what you leave behind in others. She watches the team collaborate, hope growing in their eyes. Though the empire has changed shape, its heart beats strong, fueled by shared vision and courage. Emma smiles quietly, This is her true victory, a future that belongs not to one but to many. The cycle of power continues, tempered by compassion and purpose. The legacy Emma leaves is neither gold nor titles, but a story of courage, sacrifice, and humanity. Alone in a quiet room, she reflects on her journey, the empires built and lost, the relationships forged and fractured. A photograph of her father rests on a polished desk, his legacy mingling with hers in complex harmony. Emma's eyes are calm, filled with a bittersweet peace. She understands now that true power lies not in control, but in the courage to face loss and still move forward. The empire she envisioned lives on, not as a monument to success, but as a testament to resilience. Emma rises, stepping toward a future unwritten, her spirit unbroken. Outside, the city pulses with life, a new day dawning, endless and full of possibility. This is the quiet victory that echoes beyond the boardroom, beyond the headlines, into the hearts of those who dare to build anew. The final chapter begins in the quiet before dawn. Emma stands before a large mirror, her reflection fractured by the soft light spilling through the window. Fireworks erupt silently in the distance. Celebration unseen but deeply felt. Her eyes meet her own gaze, steady and contemplative. The weight of everything past rests behind her, but there is no regret, only acceptance. He left the company, a voice murmurs from memory, but never left her. In this moment, Emma is both the survivor and the inheritor of legacies tangled in love, loss, and relentless hope. The room is still, the city outside beginning to stir. This quiet stare is a testament, a promise to carry forward, to build anew from ashes. As the fireworks bloom in the sky, Emma breathes deeply, ready to face whatever comes next with grace and strength. The story ends here, but life, her life, continues unwritten and full of possibility. A child's small hand reaches up to touch an empty boardroom chair, the symbol of power and promise. The room is bathed in late afternoon light, dust motes floating in golden beams. The child's eyes are wide, full of wonder and quiet determination. The echoes of past decisions ripple through the polished surfaces. But here stands a new beginning, fresh, fragile, and full of hope. This gesture is a silent vow, an unspoken challenge to rewrite the narrative handed down. The chair, once a throne of conquest and loss, now awaits a new occupant, one unburdened by past mistakes but inspired by their lessons. The future is unwritten, and the child's touch is a spark, lighting the way forward. Outside, the city hums with life, unaware yet of the legacy poised to unfold. Power is not just inherited, it is born anew with each courageous step. Emma stands at the edge of a rooftop garden as twilight descends. The city lights flicker below like stars brought down to earth. She breathes deeply, feeling the cool air fill her lungs, a moment of peace after a storm of struggle. Memories swirl. Her father's dreams, betrayals, battles fought, and victories won. Each step has led her here, to this fragile calm. The garden blooms quietly around her, resilient and alive. Emma's gaze lifts to the horizon, eyes reflecting the mingling of hope and uncertainty. She whispers a promise, not just to herself but to all who come after. That legacy is more than wealth or power. It is the courage to stand, to rebuild, and to love fiercely despite everything. The night embraces her as the city pulses with endless possibility. In a quiet room filled with photographs and mementos, Emma flips through an old album. Faces of family, moments of joy and pain captured in time. Her fingers trace the faded images, each a story of love, loss, and resilience. She pauses on a photo of her father, a man who built an empire but could not save what mattered most. The bittersweet truth settles over her. Legacy is never perfect, but it is ours to own and transform. Emma closes the album gently and looks toward a window where sunlight spills in like forgiveness. She understands that her journey is less about empires and more about the hearts she touched and the truths she embraced. This quiet reflection is her anchor, grounding her as she steps forward, ready to write the next chapter with courage and grace. In silence, a single line echoing through the stillness. He left the company, but never left her. Emma's quiet smile as she turns away from the mirror, stepping into the light of a new day. Behind her, fireworks burst once more, painting the sky with color and hope. The city awakens around her, endless and alive, as the story closes on a note of bittersweet triumph and fresh beginnings. The legacy remains, complex, imperfect, but enduring. Emma walks forward with unshakable resolve, a woman forged by fire and love, ready to face whatever comes next. The silence speaks volumes, carrying the weight of loss and the promise of tomorrow. The screen fades to black, leaving viewers with chills, tears, and a sense of profound hope.